Alright, once I've got the underpainting done, I move to the painting stage. I'm just going to create a new layer with a normal aspect on there, and I'm just starting to kind of paint in the general overall shape and tone of this the building for now. And I notice I'm using a mix of different yellows. I'm not staying with one yellow. What tends to happen is a lot of people have one color and they overlay that as a solid color, and by doing that you don't pick up the undertone of the painting. Also noticing I'm selecting from the undertone or selecting from the color, so as I paint I'm using the new color with the undertone and bringing that into the canvas. Now as I'm painting, I'm done with the majority of the overtone color of the building. So what's going on now is I'm going to pick a green color and just start painting over the trees and give me a overlying tone for the grass and everything else. And I think what this does is gives me a nice base to kind of measure all the paint with. You kind of want to move around as you paint, because if you get too focused on one area, you tend to neglect everything else. As you can see, I'm focusing back on the building, and I'm going to bring up some reference now of the original building. So here I can paint uh, just the different pieces, if you will, adding in some more shading, and I can get a good understanding of what's going on, and the relationships between real life and what I'm painting. If you'll notice, I tend to focus more on the background in the initial stages of painting, and this is because this is what traditional painters have to do. If you focus on the foreground and try and paint into the background after you're done with the foreground, you have more likely a chance to screw it up and have to go back and fix your work. Whereas if you do the background first, you can paint over it with no real issues. As you can see here, I started to work into the background, and as I kept painting, I've decided that I want to go darker with the background, and I'm going to use highlights to push Harry's character into the foreground a little bit more. Alright, right now I've decided to change the hue and saturation colors. Just a note that this video is sped up about 400%. So this is actually nearly a 30-minute painting session. As you can see, I'm just tightening up the building itself. What I'm going to do now is build the mortar that create the edges of the bricks, and that's going to give my lighthouse a little bit more in-depth shape and form. What I'll do is probably shade in the underside of the bricks to be a lighter tone, and then shade the top bricks to match the lower lighting value. As you see here, I just started pushing in the brick form because I didn't like it all the way to the edge of the ridge right there, so I'm just kind of shading in that extra form. And as you can see, it's really simple to manipulate the geometry in the level. I'm jumping back and forth between um, the photo reference and the other information just to keep a consistent flow. I've got the bricks in place. I'm kind of tightening up the characters and moving back and forth between the reference and the actual illustration as I paint. As you can see here, I'm really quickly just putting in the dark tones of the stairs, and that'll give you very basic form real fast. And then I'm starting to clean up the line work. I'm trying to keep this illustration down in size. This illustration is 11 by 17, but it's 600 dpi. So on my laptop, it tends to um, slow down as I build more layers in there. So I'm doing this particular painting all on one base layer. As you can see at this stage, I'm pretty much putting in highlights and base colors. I'm not really taking anything too serious as far as um, final tonal value, because as I paint, you'll change your mind, you'll have some ideas, you'll put more information in there. Now, even though this is about winter, I still felt that I wanted to have a little bit more um, warmth into the skin. So as you see, I'll go in and I'll clean up some of this line work behind it, and I'll start putting in a little bit more flesh tones um, into the skin and between the three faces. So here you can see that I'm pretty much going in and adding, bright reds into the ears and the rest of the face. And as you can see, I'm kind of covering them up, those bright reds, with some of the base flesh tone that I already have on the cheeks and stuff like that. And I think that that'll give you a good underlying color base of the blood under the skin. And throughout these videos, you'll notice that I change the face over and over and over until I get it more of what I think is better situated for what I'm trying to do. This area here is kind of goes back to the planes of the face, and this is where I'm spending a lot of the uh, time just looking at the different planes of his face. My face, as you see in the picture on the left, is a lot more smooth, where his, I want it to be a little bit more angular and rough. So I have to rely on the information that I know from the planes of the face to kind of build up his face to be different from mine. As artists, we tend to put some of ourself into each portrait that we draw. So one of the things that you'll notice is in a lot of my paintings, I have my jawline in a lot of mine, and even though we manipulate it and twist it and tweak it, you still get that one feature that your faces always have from your artist. As you can see here, I'm starting to add more flesh tones into the um, Mab, Queen of Winter, and I originally wanted her to be a little bit more pale white, and I think I can go back in down the road and kind of play with it a little bit, but I think adding the warmer colors will separate her from the background's cool colors. So that's kind of why I'm adding a little bit more of the pinks and the reds to the scene here. As you can see here, I'm starting to work on Molly's face, and I like the original, one of the other photos that I have taken of my wife, and instead I'm using, uh, I like the position on one, on her body on one, and then I'm using the face on another one that I tried, and it's just a matter of going in and cleaning up the line work and looking at the relationship of the shadows back and forth between the two. If you'll notice in this section here, I'm going back and forth between the two, and I'm also zooming out quite a bit back and forth because I don't want the information that I'm painting on Molly's face to overpower the whole scene. So as you see, that's why you jump around a lot when you're working on a painting. And you'll notice here the as I move back and forth, I've gone back between the bricks and a number of different other things, and I'm going back and forth with the hands and adding in some of the dark colors, and um, I'm also trying to stay away from pure blacks. I'm trying to stay away from solid whites. So I'm doing a very low contrast image at this point in time uh, to maintain that. And I'm working back and forth, with the hands to get the contrast in there and to get the shape and depth.